right, well, we're going to continue about the movie coming up, Sunny versus HOA.
How do you like that for a title?
Sunny versus HOA. I know a lot of homeowners out there that did not like it. In fact, my friend just called me a week ago. Ruby, hi Ruby, and her daughter is Gab. She used to have a show, Gab Corners. They're watching. She called me and said her friend HOA is trying to sell her home, so they need help. Imagine that. Remember I told you
that's right.
Steve?
That's because.
Oh yeah, you did talk to Ruby.
Right. Well, I mean, that's another issue because you had liens, and if
Yes,
you
of
don't pay your
course.
liens,
Yeah,
they
of course they're gonna put the lien on it.
Yeah,
You know,
they'll think of
it.
anything they can
Yes.
to try to, so interestingly, there's a part of this movie that speaks to this very issue, because this character in here, who happens to be the HOA president, is a very Gestapo-like kind of guy who walks around and just gives everybody a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
Your paint is peeling, you have a stem in your yard or whatever. He's very unreasonable, and people really don't like him. And this is kind of what I have found in some of the HOAs. I was a contractor for many years, and 2 lives. And by the way, I think you might know, and you may know, that if you want to have an entertainment life, you also have to have a real job. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I was a single parent, and so I also had to manage my entertainment career,
For real,
raise my
you're single
son.
parents now?
Yeah.
Or I
Well,
thought
he's
you're
grown
married.
now. My son is grown now.
Okay.
But that was a very difficult juggling act. The Sonny moves. He's a guy that lives on the edge of poverty.
Right.
He's fought for this country. He has a hard time, and his brother is a multimillionaire
It doesn't help.
attorney in Chicago, right? But of course he wants to help, but Sonny's too bitter, and Sonny doesn't care about all the props, and he's purposely alienated himself from his brother, which is his only living relative, because he knows he's a hardcore alcoholic and he doesn't fit in, however, what happens is, in the interesting turn of events, is the attorney, his younger brother, dies suddenly and leaves the $4 million mansion in the snooty gated community to him, and he moves in with all his biker friends.
Let's not give them so much about the movie.
Oh, no,
so that they
there's
can,
plenty there for them to
I
see.
want them to watch it.
Oh, they will.
I
I'm
want to
sure.
be can I be a policewoman?
I mean, is it in production,
Of course.
post-production,
Well,
distribution?
I want to be a policewoman.
There's room for it, I can tell you, because there's a couple of very funny police scenes in this
I
movie,
be
as you can
funny
imagine.
policewoman
Oh,
with an
man,
accent like
it's
Vergara, right?
Yeah, it is a comedy, first of all, which deals with a very sensitive subject matter like post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
And when I wrote this, I after reading it a couple of times, I'm thinking, this is pretty serious, man. I don't want anybody to think that I'm making fun of this or whatever. I want to make sure I'm spot on. So I took the script to a couple of people that were really on the hard edge of dealing with suicidal veterans with post-traumatic, and they read it, and I'm waiting for an answer, and I come and I sat down and talked to them, and they said, something, I was so relieved to read this script about this subject matter, and it wasn't death, darkness, woe is me. You
Right.
dealt with it in a comedic kind of way, and it was quite a relief, and man, they really supported it. I was really pleased with that. To answer your question about at what stage it's in, this project is very developed in its content feature, and we have a couple of really major players that are very interested in playing these roles in it that have already read them. Legendary people from Saturday Night Live. I also have a really great lead potential for this film, but we're looking to support the film right now. We're looking for this is open to bring funders into this project right now.
It's the big check. You have to have the check.
Well, even that's true, and of course they never get made without them. But there's a way to do things,
Right.
and I can stage this up as an independent film
we can
producer.
do the teaser and submitted it to a film festival.
Sure. We can. What I'm looking to do is right now is I'm looking to stage this up from a development funding kind of concept,
Yeah.
sign the talent to it, get a lot of the support systems built in so that that the distribution latches on. So when you go to a funding group, they see that this thing could get made.
That's
This
right.
thing,
That's right.
Well, actually, it's a good. I think the title itself it's very good because a
For
lot
sure.
of people doesn't support. Sometimes they are upset with the HOA, but a lot of people likes HOA to protect their home, but they go over beyond of their position.
all the
They
time.
intend not to be a friendly HOA officers.
Right.
They are I called him animal.
No, I get you, and I feel you on that.
No, I just say that because I experienced that in
Sure.
the past.
So
They
many
see the
people have. That's why I
They
did
see
it.
the little tiny words. They send you a message.
Well, this was my practical and real life experience with which motivated the writing of this film, and certainly in my contracting life it came to pass as well. But in terms of having them to protect my home, I really don't look to the HOA for anything, especially to protect my home. I use my Second Amendment rights to protect my home.
They're protecting the property rights next to his home.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
you know
That's
what?
it.
Either they send this little tiny hanging in your balcony.
Yeah.
They call you. They send you
Yeah.
a message already. If you didn't take it
A
down,
fine.
they fine $150
Yeah.
or whatever, and then you have to write a letter in the movie. Finally, take a picture and send it to them.
When you're doing a project, any entertainment project, whether it's a song or a film or a television show, you have to be mindful that when you're creating your content, you have to have a targeted audience. There has to be a core audience. For me, it's the
Right.
baby boomers. That's
Correct,
my
correct,
generation.
correct.
They're the biggest guys in town right now. The baby boomer generation is
Us.
most of our pop. That's right. And this particular generation has probably seen some of the greatest development and changes in this country ever. And I think they have a really sharp taste and appetite and an understanding for content. But Hollywood doesn't make movies for them anymore. They think they're irrelevant. And that's ridiculous.
But
for
they
me.
are, in terms of those who are backing it, when they say we want between 25 and 45. If you are too old, you're passe. If you're too young, you're not
Since I'm
interested.
sorry, since we're talking about the movie, my daughter and I and my niece, we watch. Hi Maria, hi Yasi. I'm gonna shout out in the last segment. We watched The first Verge, right? It's just about killing, but the story behind it, it's just like an immigration, because they put one little girl in there who is a Mexican. They're protecting her, but it's just about killing.
Yeah.
You watched that, right? The Verge.
I didn't see it because I don't like to buy into a lot of violent content
It
myself.
is violent.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck? They're shooting, killing, chopping, I mean, the government did the test or examine, about the purge. And this is about you become violence. And you're showing to the public you kill people. Why?
But we got to be careful, because this goes back to when I was in grad school about pornography and things of that sort. I don't think the media really affects the individual as much as they claim. You have an educated background, you have your parents who tell you to do the right things. Just because you see something of a fantasy on television or the movie screen doesn't mean you have to represent and do it
Well,
yourself.
I think the movie that
Of
he's
course it
going to be
doesn't, but
making,
yeah.
I think the movie that he's going to be making is like a little bit educational, comedy, action, drama. I think
It's
love
very,
story,
very emotional. It's a love story
yeah,
in there
love
for
story.
sure. Yeah, I don't think I could do anything without a little bit of love story in it, man.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, directly to your point, I'm really disappointed in contemporary content being so violent.
Yes.
I mean, there's just enough already. And first responders are on the line.
Right.
Our police officers, our military, and quite honestly, I mean, I'm from Chicago, which has become the murder capital of
Right.
the United States. And I really
that it's Obama's hometown, right?
it is,
Oh, no,
and
he's
he
white.
wasn't able to
Yeah.
do anything about it apparently while he was in office. But that's his problem, and now it's everybody else's problem too. I don't think one man can do anything about it, but I do think the media plays a very powerful role in shaping the minds and opinions of young people, because they idolize the movie stars, they idolize the rock stars, they idolize the pop stars.
But why? Why do they?
Because
Are you that way yourself?
Well, like in
No.
the Philippines.
Okay.
But-
Speaking of that, like in the Philippines, look at all our running candidates, or in the office now, are celebrities.
yeah, well, when Ronald Reagan was voted no, I thought that was a pretty telling thing when a movie star became the president, and they made fun of this in Back to the Future, by the way,
That's-
which was hilarious. But I think that I think going to the
So
content.
you don't want Big Brother, who says we know everything because we got to protect you.
I think Big Brother just has the power they've instituted, and nobody has any idea the extent of what that really has come to. And And I don't think there's really, as individuals, really much we can do about it. We can have our television show, we can have our platform, thank God we still have that.
Right.
We can speak our opinions to
Well,
that.
right now my television is actually online, but it's all in social media. So
Sure.
it can reach out now, and we don't have any prompt to read, and it's natural.
Yeah, but
Right.
keep in mind, you have classic movie producers of history, and they produce movies in real time, no digital effects back in the 20s, 30s,
You bet.
40s, 50s. They had violence, but it was a different kind. They had killing
Yeah,
and so
it's
forth.
This just wasn't so
Message.
explicit.
Yeah.
That's right.
It wasn't so
You
graphic.
Yeah.
don't have to see it to understand it.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that once again. Mike Anthony Jones and, of course, attorney Steve Shipman. We'll be right back and we'll talk about his movies.